Fellas, considering UFC 300s this week, I think it's right to do an in-depth prediction, a round-by-round prediction of the big three fights on this card. Now, but obviously the big three fights are Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje versus Holloway, and then obviously the main event, Pereira and Hill. But I'm going to be doing a round-by-round prediction, what I think is going to happen until, well, in every single round until either it goes to the decision or someone gets stopped. So let me know your prediction down below for these specific three fights, starting off with Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. And by the way, I did do a prediction video the other day. This is just a more in-depth prediction round by round. But starting off with Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. Yeah, I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan, and I know a lot of people are going to be picking Charles Oliveira, and they're going to be disagreeing with this, but I really do think that Arman Tsarukyan's a tough test for Charles Oliveira, and I think the first round, I can see them kind of, just filling each other out at the beginning. But what I can see happening, in the first couple of minutes of the fight is Arman Tsarukyan faking a big shot and eventually going for a takedown against Charles Oliveira. It's no surprise that Arman Tsarukyan has amazing wrestling. I mean, you go back to the old fight with Islam Makhachev, he was a real tough test for Islam Makhachev when it came to grappling, and he's shown it multiple times. Arman Tsarukyan is one of the best wrestlers in the lightweight division. So I think he's going to fake a big shot and then eventually go for the takedown against Charles Oliveira, and I think he's going to get the takedown. And I think a lot of this round is going to be Charles Oliveira on his back. Now, I understand Charles Oliveira is dangerous on his back, but I think Arman Tsarukyan, with the wrestling that he is, I think he's going to be able to keep Oliveira on his back for a majority of the round. And I think he's going to do a lot of moderate ground and pound. I don't think it's going to be insanely damaging ground and pound, but we've seen Charles Oliveira on his back before. He was on his back in the, obviously, the Islam Makhachev fight. Even the Beneil Dariush fight, he was on his back. So I think he's going to be on his back and taking moderate ground and pound. But Charles Oliveira's good on his back. I don't think he's going to take any, intense damage on his back. But I think Arman Tsarukyan's going to do moderate ground and pound. And then towards the end of the first round, I think they both get up, start landing big shots for the rest of the round. But I think round one will go to Arman Tsarukyan because of the control time that he had in this round. So round one, a very grappling heavy round by Arman Tsarukyan, and I feel like that's going to get him the round. Round two is going to start. And this is where I think Charles Oliveira is going to utilise his kicks a lot. Charles Oliveira loves kicking. He's got great Thai boxing. I think we're going to see a lot of Charles Oliveira with his leg kicks early on. And I think Arman Tsarukyan's going to try and do the same thing. It worked in the first round. He's going to try and do it again. He's going to go shoot for a takedown, but he's not going to get it. And they're going to end up in a clinch. And we've seen Charles Oliveira. His knees in the clinch are insanely dangerous. He's going to be in the clinch with Arman Tsarukyan. And he's going to land big knees in the clinch with Charles Oliveira. He'll do a lot of damage. Well, not a lot of damage, but he'll be very effective with his knees. In the clinch, and they'll spend a little bit of time in the clinch, and then for the rest of the round, I think it's going to be on the feet. But I think because Arman Tsarukyan's faking the takedowns, he's going to land a big shot on Charles Oliveira in this round. The crowd are going to go wild. It's not going to faze Charles Oliveira. He'll be completely fine. He's not going to get wobbled or anything, but he will land a big shot, maybe momentarily stun him, and then they'll be fine back to normal. And I think that, they'll just be back and forth for the rest of the round. But again, because Arman Tsarukyan landed that big shot, I feel like this will be the closest round, but because Arman Tsarukyan lands the big shot, potentially drops Charles Oliveira, I think he's going to take this round again. It's going to be a really close round, and there's going to be a lot of controversy over this round, but I think Arman Tsarukyan takes it. And then round three, this is where I think we're going to see Charles Oliveira. This is where I think we're going to see Charles Oliveira turn up. This is where the fight's going to be mostly on the feet, and they're going to start exchanging on the feet. I can definitely see Arman Tsarukyan being really defensive this round, because we all know Charles Oliveira for being the guy that it doesn't matter if he loses the first round or whatever, he will come back and get a finish in the later round. So I feel like we're going to see Arman Tsarukyan be very defensive, and I can just see his offense not being as effective. In fact, I can even see Oliveira landing a big shot this round and going in for the finish, and I don't think he's going to get the finish. I think Arman Tsarukyan's a smart fighter, but I can see Oliveira landing a big shot like he's done in nearly every single one of his title fights, or one of his top fights. Even the Beneil Dariush landed a big shot, and I can see him going for a finish, but he doesn't get the finish. And then I can see just Arman Tsarukyan staying on the back foot for the majority of the round, shooting for takedowns, kind of panicking to get the takedowns, but he doesn't get it. And I think this will be a dominant round by Charles Oliveira until eventually the judges score it 2-1 to Arman Tsarukyan. With obviously the first two being to Arman, second one being quite controversial, but then round three going to Charles Oliveira. And yeah, I think Arman Tsarukyan's going to just about win this fight. I don't think either of them finish each other, but I do have Charles Oliveira winning this one by decision, and that's my round-by-round prediction for Oliveira and Tsarukyan. Let me know what you think about that fight. Then we've got an entertaining fight, Gaethje and Holloway. Now, because both of these guys bring carnage in every fight, it's hard to do like a technical analysis of both of their performances or how they're going to do. So what I think is going to happen is round one, you know, they might feel each other out for the first 2 minutes. And when I say feel each other out, I don't mean they're going to be boring. They're still going to be landing shots. It's just not going to be classic Gaethje and Holloway. But I think the chaos will begin fairly early on in the first round. And for the first 2 minutes, like I said, quite slow. But I reckon they're going to start getting into it in the first round. And, you know, they're both going to start landing big shots. I think it's going to be a very close first round, but I think Gaethje is going to be a lot more, you know, offensive, walking forward, landing shots, and Max Holloway is going to be getting not warmed up, but you know what I mean. He's going to be he's going to be getting sorted out. You know, he's going to be landing shots, but I think Gaethje's going to have the better first round against Max Holloway. But it's going to be very back and forth. I don't think one of them is going to dominantly win. They're both going to land shots, but I just think Gaethje's going to have the better round, and I'm going to give this close round to Justin Gaethje. Round two, I could see Holloway catching Gaethje in this round. I think Gaethje's going to... I know Gaethje's a lot more technical now, as we've seen in his last two fights against Fiziev and Poirier. But I can see Max Holloway with his elite boxing, timing Gaethje and landing a big shot against Justin Gaethje. But Gaethje's still going to be in the fight. He's not going to be out of the fight. He's not going to be wobbled. He's not going to be, you know, he's going to be fully recovered and things like that. He's going to be fine. But Holloway will catch him with a big shot. And I just think it's going to be a very back and forth round again. Gaethje putting the pressure on Holloway. It's just going to be a bit of a back and forth round. You can score it either way. I don't really know who's going to win this round. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more, you know, just swinging back and forth. And I do think Holloway is going to be able to time Gaethje early on and catch him with something insignificant. But he's going to catch him with something. It's probably going to be the biggest shot of the fight so far. Then round three. This is where I think Gaethje is going to start landing big shots on Holloway. I think the fact that Holloway is moving up a division and he's fighting the hardest hitter in the division, it's going to start taking a toll. I'm not saying he's going to get knocked out, but I think it's going to start taking a toll. I think the Gaethje mixing it up with the leg kicks and the body shots and just everything that Gaethje has and the fact that he hits so hard, I think he's going to, you know, his striking is going to be very, very effective this round. And I think Gaethje is going to put Holloway in a lot of danger. Not necessarily wobble him. Maybe he does wobble him. I know Holloway's got an iron chin, so maybe he doesn't wobble Max Holloway, but he could definitely put him in danger. But I think, yeah, I just think he's going to put Holloway in danger a lot this round. He's going to be very, very effective with his striking, and it's just going to be a bloody bath. It's just going to be a bloodbath, essentially. They're both going to be exhausted. They're both going to be bloody by the end of this round, but I do think Gaethje will have landed the most significant and effective shots this round, and this is where Holloway is going to start to slow down. He's fighting Justin Gaethje with the fact that the combination of body kicks, leg kicks, and the fact that he hits so hard and he keeps walking forward. This is where I think it's going to start taking a toll on Holloway. Round four, I still think Holloway is going to be answering back in round four. I don't think he's going to be completely out of it. Similar to Volkanovski and Holloway 3, Holloway's still landing shots, but I think it's going to be very dominant, and it's going to be very obvious that Gaethje's leading the fight at this point. Gaethje's landing bombs, still quite sloppy because it's round four and they've both been going at it the entire fight. I do think Holloway will be the more technical striker, but I think Gaethje will be landing the more effective shots. He'll be landing the more damaging shots. He'll be landing more clean, but Holloway will be tagging him here and there. And then we get to round five. At this point, they're both extremely bloody. They're both exhausted. And it's going to be like watching Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis, essentially. And I think they're both going to empty the tank in round five. They're both going to, you know, meet in the middle, absolutely empty the tank. They're both going to be putting up a scrap. And I just think it's going to get to the point where Holloway's face is damaged that badly, where I think that the ref or the doctor is going to stop the fight. I genuinely think Holloway's going to be cut up so badly. He's going to be so bloody, and his face is going to be a complete mess to the point where the doctor has to stop the fight. And I know that's a bit of a weird prediction, but I could just see this fight being so high carnage that the ref is going to stop the fight. And technically, TKO, Justin Gaethje, round five, doctor stoppage. Bit of an odd prediction, but because of this, the fight's going to be so, you know, it's going to be full of carnage. It's going to be full of violence. I can just see Gaethje getting the win by a doctor stoppage. And then for the final fight, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Yeah, this is one that, again, they're both elite strikers, so it's hard to say that, you know, it goes one way. But round one of this fight, I think this will be an extremely close round. I think Jamal Hill will be doing better with his boxing than Pereira is with his boxing. I think Jamal Hill's boxing at range, we've seen him in pretty much all of his fights. He's really good at boxing with his range, and so is Pereira, but I feel like Hill will be effective with his boxing at range, but Pereira will be having success with the leg kicks. Pereira's going to start pouring off the leg kicks. We know that Jamal Hill damaged his leg when he was playing basketball, and obviously he's been out for a while. He had to vacate the belt because of that, and I think that's what Pereira's going to be focusing on the majority of this fight. But the boxing's going to go to Jamal Hill. The leg kicks will be pouring on for Pereira. It's going to be an extremely close round, and to be honest, you can score it either way. Then we've got round 2. This is where I think Pereira's going to start kicking up top as well. Jamal Hill's going to be expecting leg kicks. He's going to be checking them. And I think we're going to see a lot of Pereira going for head kicks, trying to kick up top as well. And he's going to be mixing up with the variety of his striking. And Poatan starts landing big shots in this round. Now, already in round 2, because he's coming back from an injury fairly quickly as well, and he's against one of the best leg kickers in the UFC, this is where I think that Hill's going to start struggling with the leg kick. Still putting up a fight. He's not going to be completely out of it. He's still going to be landing shots on Poatan. He's still going to be, you know, he's not going to be completely out of it. It's not going to be domination to Poatan. But this is where you're going to see Hill struggling with the leg. And he's still putting up a fight, but he's going to be a clear round to Pereira. Not necessarily a dominant round, but a clear round to Alex Pereira because of the leg kicks and the fact that he's starting to land a bigger variety. Round 3, this is where I think it's going to get worse for Hill. He's going to really start struggling with the leg kicks. He's always going to be guessing if Pereira's going to go up top or go for the leg kick. His striking's going to be ineffective, and I think the leg is going to be really struggling in this round with Hill. Obviously, he had the injury, which is the main problem with these leg kicks, and I think this is where we're going to see Poatan start to land the left hook. He knows that Jamal Hill's guessing. He knows that he's expecting a leg kick, and we know Pereira for having a dangerous left hook. I think Pereira's going to try and land a cheeky left hook on Jamal Hill, and I think he'll land 1 or 2. Maybe not the cleanest left hook, and I think it'll graze or maybe just about land on Jamal Hill. Maybe momentarily stun him, not necessarily knock him out or anything like that. But yeah, Hill's going to become really vulnerable this round, and it's going to be a win for Pereira, a dominant round for Pereira's round 3. I think it's going to be a dominant round, and then round 4 is going to come in, and it's going to get to the point where his leg is so badly damaged, is Jamal Hill's, to the point where he can barely stand anymore with these kicks. He's essentially just going to be a punching bag in round 4, and because Poatan's such a dangerous striker and Jamal Hill's going to be so vulnerable, I think eventually Pereira's just going to throw everything at him, keep him guessing, and then eventually he's going to land that left hook, drop Jamal Hill, and Pereira's going to get the TKO in that 4th round. I can see the entire fight just being Jamal Hill getting his leg battered until eventually he becomes a punching bag, gets caught with the left hook, and gets TKO'd. And yeah, I think Pereira's going round 4 TKO, and that is my round by round prediction. I've never done one of these before, but considering the card's so big and so stacked, I've got to do it for the main 3 fights. Let me know your predictions for these fights. Do you think it'll go the way I said it? Do you have any agreements or disagreements? But yeah, let me know your thoughts on these fights. Thank you for watching.